Man, if you read all the commentaries and explanations written about the book of Revelation, you would conclude that everyone is 100% in agreement about all the details in it.
But from the first word, the disagreements start. I know that no one is surprised at how sharp and almost vicious the disagreements are.
We are publishing a new perspective on the book of Revelation called Experiencing Revelation on February 1st, 2022.
And that's 11 weeks from the release of this video, number 3 in our advanced promotion.
Already, without even reading a single word of it, a few people with strong views and critical attitudes have let us know how completely wrong we are pretty much about everything.
Well, that kind of sums up our lives, but that's okay.
Let's add another idea to the pile. Give folks something to get upset about, and maybe give other folks something to think about.
Okay, so let's try this one on. What was John, the author of Revelation, doing on the island of Patmos? If you happen to know where Patmos is.
Like, who cares about that? What an insignificant detail.
Well, some people have a lot of very strong opinions and a lot to say about this little tiny island just outside the Bay of Ephesus that is in the present day of Turkey today.
Pretty much everyone assumes that John was being punished by the Roman government by being exiled to that miserable, desolate, rocky hunk of nothing that was actually a shipping stop for the commerce between Rome and Ephesus.
Well, yeah, let's skip all the history stuff. No one's really interested in that kind of background. It's what John himself writes in the first chapter that really interests me.
Well, that's pretty sparse too. John actually never says he's in exile or that he's being punished or any of that stuff the commentators and analysts have come up with.
What kind of assumptions had to be that way? I mean, because because
Because it fits the narrative of John being a suffering servant on the outs with Rome, paying the big price for being a Christian.
so what does John actually say?
Great question. I love honest, direct questions. In Revelation 1:9, John says, quote, I, John, your brother and co-teammate in the trouble and kingdom and endurance in Jesus, was on the island named Patmos because of the word of God and the testimony of Jesus.
Well, he obviously was being punished because he believed in the word of God and gave testimony for Jesus. Come
And
on.
it doesn't actually say that.
What? So John could have been there to preach the word of God and to give a testimony for Jesus?
If that were so, who would he have been preaching to? He was supposedly in exile. Other prisoners, guards, shipping captains, and longshoremen?
Oh, come on. Don't be ridiculous. For over 3,000 years, people have inhabited Patmos. For several centuries before this time, it was a luxury island with stunning views and great waterfronts and rich people coming and going for rest and recreation.
But everyone agrees for a few years in there, Rome ran it as a prison island. Then later, it became a nice getaway again. But it could be that John went there to reach people, not just sent there to be banished from people.
His actual words don't lean one way or the other, do they?
John only says he was there on account of the word of God and the testimony of Jesus. That's it.
So it is possible that we can understand what John actually wrote about himself on Patmos, maybe just a little bit differently.
That might upset some people. Just saying.
Well, they probably started out being upset. It's kind of like when you take a pen and prick a balloon, whatever is in there is already going to come out, sometimes slowly and sometimes with a boom.
This book is 11 weeks away from its launch. You can make up your mind without reading it, which some folks have already done.
Or you can follow along and consider what we have discovered and see if the confusion and mystery of Revelation is cleared up for you.
Thanks for watching this episode. Please like and follow the Facebook page Experiencing Revelation or our YouTube channel Gripping Reality.
But if you want to gripe and moan and complain about things, then, please do it on your own page and your own channel. We'd just like to have real discussion here, true dialogue here, please.
So this is East Coast Mike.
And this is West Coast Mike. Thanks for listening.
See you next week.